Hey everyone, welcome to WorkStorm's first session in our remote work training series, Unifying Communication and Collaboration. My name is Kurt Libby. I'm the Digital Marketing Director here, and we're going to turn it over to Brian Stearns, our Chief Commercial Officer, here in a second. But just wanted to give you a heads up that we will have a recording of this afterward. We'll send this to you. Also, you could send that around in your firm if you'd like to share it. And in the bottom corner, on the bottom right corner, it says have a question. And you can click on that at any point, leave a question. We are going to try to get to those at the end if we have time. And then if you leave your email and we don't have time, you can also, we'll be able to follow up with you. So without any further ado, Brian Stearns, our Chief Commercial Officer, take it away. Hey, wait.
Well, thanks, Kurt. I appreciate that. And welcome, everybody. Happy Friday to those of you who are listening to this live. It's a Friday before holiday weekend here in the States, but in these unprecedented times, it's sometimes hard to know which day it is. You know, one day runs into the next. So many of you are listening to this from your home, I would hope, and some of you maybe even listening to this in your pajamas. But as Kurt mentioned, you know, this is a first in a series where we're going to talk about remote work and really working from home. We have sort of a unique perspective on this. Our product, WorkStorm, is a Chicago-based company developed by a 100% remote working team and developed as a collaboration platform to support team communication and in particular to help remote teams or virtual teams stay aligned. So this is a topic that we think about every day. We embed it into our work internally and into the solution that we deliver to clients in the market. A little background on our founding team. Our founder and several senior leaders come from the securities trading industry. We think about collaboration. We really focus on it from an angle of privacy and security, and one of speed of execution. You know, where time matters. And you know, those themes I think will come back up again in today's talk as well as throughout the remaining sessions in this series. But this will be about 15 minutes, I hope. You know, we are a software provider, so I will be showing our product as I talk about best practices. But really, you know, the hope is that you can take away some of these lessons and apply them in any situation. We're moving into the presentation now. What will work look like moving forward? Very hard to say exactly how things will change, but I think as we've now been, you know, 2 months or so into this, we're starting to get, you know, a more vivid picture of what life will be like for at least the next several months, if not the next few years. There was a recent survey of law firm leaders where 100% of firms said they have at least 75% of their personnel currently working from home. The only folks going to the office are deemed essential to keep infrastructure operating. Everyone else has transitioned to moving from home or working from home. 89% of those firms say the return to their physical office is still unknown at this time. It's a bit of wait and see, as you know, different states and even the federal government, you know, issue you know, updated guidance around how to manage the workforce. So during these times, you know, it's really important that firms put in place tools to facilitate communication and collaboration, especially if you're used to teams operating in a very centralized fashion and you've now moved to a decentralized fashion. The same tools and technology and even processes and procedures that you had used previously may not work today. We are calling this a remote working training series, but as I mentioned, it really is about working from home. Remote working is not a new concept. You know, I'm a former consultant going back to 2002. You know, I'd often spend 4 days a week on the road working from client sites, from airports, from the backs of taxi cabs, you know, moving from one place to the other. So lots of folks are accustomed to working from home. There's a lot of benefits around that. You know, productivity. If you're not traveling or you're not commuting, you can save time and money. That only really made a small dent in the way corporate offices were set up and the way corporate travel was managed. You know, that promise of time savings and of you know, hard dollar savings really didn't change things all that much. And then more recently, companies started talking about reducing carbon footprints and their ESG programs, but again, didn't really change the amount of commuting that was taking place or the amount of travel that you know, folks would do to visit their clients, or even, you know, the policies around when and how, you know, people can work from the office or from home. Then COVID-19 hit, and all of a sudden it became about employee health and protecting the health of yourself and your colleagues. And the things that were previously deemed impossible or impractical when necessary were realized within the span of a week or two. It was pretty impressive how quickly companies could transition to being functional in an entirely remote setup. But it is important to realize that this isn't just working from home. We are under very unique circumstances. Um, People are dealing with us, kids who are having to do e-learning and needing help throughout the day. They have anxiety about the future of their employment, just the future of the economy generally, anxiety about the health of themselves and their loved ones. So the pressures on you to work from home aren't the same as they were previously, even if you were accustomed to working from home. It's a very different situation. And when those pressures are increasing, when you have a lot of different things to manage, it's really important that communications be easy. Everything really becomes a communication problem when you think about it. So much what you do throughout the day are ad hoc or informal communications. And if those are challenging on top of everything else you're dealing with, it can really make life difficult these days. And we've seen that play out in the numbers. I mean, this is the ultimate burning platform for companies to move towards digital transformation. McKinsey's study said 32% of CIOs say demand for collaboration tools is top of mind. Gartner saw a 500% increase in customers searching for video conferencing solutions and trying to identify what the best products are. G2, a similar type solution, saw a 1,400% increase in searches for video conferencing. So clearly, whereas before people say, well, I'm not really sure if I need it, we have email, we have phones working okay for digital collaboration solutions, and migrating to them at much more rapid speeds. So whereas tools like ours, unified collaboration tools would say, it's a better way than operating with email, and that message, resonating with some but not many. Now everyone sees the importance of having these tools, and the adoption is accelerating. So I talk about communication being easy. What does that mean? Well, for us, it means that communications are organized and organized the way you want. We believe very strongly that organization is a personal preference, a personal pursuit. How I have my email inbox set up, my phone apps set up, my notebook, my desk, etc., are all very specific to me, and the way others may have it set up would be different. So really emphasizing the ability to personalize your organization and not force structure on people. Integration, that's a huge point. What you see sort of on our Workstorm wheel on the right over there is the ability to move quickly and seamlessly between different communication sources. We talk about stacked efficiencies. If you're constantly switching apps and taking steps to do things over the course of a day or a week or a month, that adds up to a lot of time and burden on your ability to get work done. And then collaborative, easy, efficient, effective, even fun, right? You want this to be simple. If it's simple, you'll do it more often, and you'll just develop the right habits. So I'm going to move now to a quick demonstration of our platform to help illustrate some of these points. This is our Workstorm platform that I've accessed through our public website. So it is accessible remotely, of course, and we have a desktop application as well. But the organization, going back to those themes of organized, integrated, collaborative, organization starts with your channel structures. This is a way to pre-structure your inbox, so to speak, so that all of your conversations around different topics or roles you play, or projects you're working on, all go to the place that they're supposed to go. So we give the ability for users to create different channels. These can be one-to-one or multi-party. They can be with internal stakeholders as well as external stakeholders. We allow you to organize those around folder structures like you would your file structure or your email structure, and that helps you stay organized. If I jump into here, another organization concept is workspaces, the ability to have multiple conversations visible at one time. Often people who have used other chat apps say it's very difficult to constantly stay on top of things when you're having to move between different channels to see what's happening. So you can organize your channels in Workstorm around a particular topic. So I made this very simple and generic so it would apply to any situation. But I have one workspace that's my projects. These are projects I'm working on. So I have the Falcon client team, Falcon cross team coordination, et cetera. I have the BGA, maybe RFP response that I'm working on, and I can see both of these, together in one workspace, one dashboard. Then I have my people. These are one-to-one conversations with individuals. Right now, as we're working from home, it's very difficult to stay connected to the people that our colleagues that we worked most often with. Those could be maybe Robert Jackson could be the managing partner and my mentor. Sarah Evans could be the associate I work most closely with. Betsy Lopez could be my administrative assistant. Maybe Becky Gonzalez is started in the same cohort as me and one of my good friends at work. And I want to have my people, my private one-to-one conversations organized here so that I can go there and almost be reminded to connect with them. I have a whole history of connections, and I can go back there and check, when was the last time we were in contact. And so I see, my colleague Robert saying, Joyce, you're doing a fantastic job on that project. Let's find time to connect. And I can, reach out and say, thanks, Robert. It'd be great to catch up with you. And then, Betsy, my assistant, I can jump down and say, hi, Betsy. Can we find some time with Robert's EA? And oh, by the way, it's your birthday. Hope you have good plans for the weekend. So really effective for staying in touch with your colleagues. And then I have one for my company. These are announcements. These are one-way communications that are being pushed out from the organization, information disseminated in one-way fashion. Right now, it's important that organizations over-communicate. And so I have chairman announcements, keeping us up to date on how this is affecting our business and what's happening and what our response should be, during these times. Both from a sort of firm standpoint, but also as it relates to our clients. Firm-wide announcements, keeping everyone on the same page about the firm response and other happenings around the organization. And maybe as a member of the Chicago office, I have a specific one for the Chicago office I want to manage. So again, really keeping me organized around the different projects I'm working on. And then there's integrations. I can pop open my calendar, have my calendar visible for the day and the whole week right here as I work on these projects. I can reach out to people. I see here that my client Maxwell has said, B&B team, here are the latest diligence materials. I'm getting files in the same places that I'm communicating with my customer, and I can respond and say, thanks, Max, we'll receive, we'll revert. I can pop this open and very easily, share that with the Falcon cross team coordination and say, to the team here, here are the latest files from Max. Let's work on that diligence materials. And so that same file set that was here, I've now shared with my internal team. And maybe I want to grab a document from an integrated file management system. Maybe we use iManage. So based on my user permissions, I can come in here, find a file in iManage, share that with the team here. And I say, let's jump on a call. I'll type that in. Very quickly, based on the membership of this team here, you can see all these folks. I can just click a button and call them. And I can pop up this video call and start to have a conversation about those files and work on them real time. So there I am. We'll see here in a second our colleague popping up. This is all seamlessly integrated into the platform. So I see Sarah jumping on there. Maybe I'll move to the tile view here, the Brady Bunch view. My colleague Robert's jumping on. And we have multi-party screen share. A lot of systems require you to move between one person sharing and the other person sharing so you can see different content. They both have different pieces of content up, so I can look at what Sarah has up. I can move to what Robert has up, very easily and go back to that view. And maybe as we're working here, I realize I need to get my colleague or our client, Maxwell, into the conversation. So I can literally pop this open, click Maxwell. I can see he's online, send him an invite, and invite him into the conversation. And so I've now, while I'm working with Robert and Sarah on this, I can pull my client in and ask him some questions. And we're working real time right now, very easy. And maybe because this is such a fast moving transaction, I say, as we work through this, that I need to get Sarah and Robert on a call later today so I can actually schedule this for later and say, let's connect end of day, and I can come down here at 5 p.m. I can create an event. And now I've created on our own Outlook calendar an event for us to connect later today. Thanks, guys. So that's the integration piece. And then we've talked about the collaboration piece, just being able to easily connect with our colleagues, sharing Giphies, sharing files, sharing links. It's super easy. And I can also, pop out one of these conversations and really have the ability to recall information in a very easy way. Maybe I want to flag this with blue because that's how I tag important information that we've received from our customer. So I know to follow up with it later. And I could come in here and very easily search and say, I want to find things in the last week, that were tagged with that blue and search. And then I find that file there very simply. So many features and functionality built into the platform. I created that, meeting and added it to my calendar directly. I can even stay on top of my email from the same place that I'm messaging with my colleagues. I can see that new messages have come in. I can grab attachments. I can share those into channels with my colleagues. So again, picking a channel here and sharing that. So again, we have other sessions where we'll go deeper into the product, but hopefully this shows, how a single pane of glass and an integrated communications platform can really help you stay organized on the work that you're doing, project work, connections with your colleagues, information from your company, all in a single workspace, very easily moving between messaging, file sharing, video calling, even calendar and email management, all in a single workspace. So Kurt, I know we want to wrap up there. Not sure whether any questions came in during that, but maybe
Yeah,
have time
Brian.
for one or two questions before we close out.
Yeah, we got a question here from somebody from St. Louis. How do you see these chat apps that have been very casual become helpful and not a hindrance to actually getting work done?
Yeah, so that's a great point. That's what we hear from a lot of folks. Chat apps have been around since the late 90s, but most people really just use them for that casual, informal conversation, you know, grabbing coffee together or, discussing weekend plans. And they've really been viewed that way as more text messaging and not a part of work. But as we've seen, even text messaging has become sort of integral to how colleagues and friends stay in contact. So this more than 50% of anybody's communication really is casual and ad hoc. It's quickly checking in on status. It's quickly understanding next steps. It's aligning around what it needs to do or asking for the latest version of something. And when you're using just email and maybe a file repository to do that, it becomes very formalized and it becomes very static. And so I think these social collaborative tools, when embedded into work, help drive stickiness in the relationships that you have internally with your colleagues, as well as the relationships that you have with your company. And if those tools are also integrated with the tools that you use, such as iManage for file management or email, Outlook for email and calendar, then it isn't a burden. It's not one other thing to check. It becomes the thing that helps you manage your day.
Awesome, Brian. Hey, thanks everybody for being a part of this. If you have more questions, feel free to follow up with us. Brian, you also want to tell us about the next sessions that are coming up?
Yeah, hopefully everyone found this helpful. Again, these are mini series meant to be very quick, get a few key points out. But we're going to do 3 more over the next Fridays, again, always at 12 noon Central, and recordings will be sent out. But next Friday, we have Keeping Matters on Track in a Virtual World. So we'll go much more into that organization and project-based work where teams are working together on a common task and needing to stay aligned. So really looking forward to that one. As I mentioned, our system really enables effective internal and external collaboration. So on June 5th, we'll talk more about how you could invite your clients or your partners or consultants or marketing agencies or anybody you work with externally to collaborate with you through WorkStorm. So we'll really dig into that and how we ensure privacy and security. And then finally, on June 12th, we'll talk about kind of the digital document management, file sharing, and some of the best practices there. As we know, just staying aligned on versions, on status, collaborating together on the creation of work product is a big topic for firms. So thanks again for tuning in. Hope you have a great weekend, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next session, May 29th.
All right, thanks, Brian. We are finished up here. Again, we'll send you a link to review this in the future, and feel free to share that around and sign up for more sessions coming up soon. Have a great weekend, guys.